Hello, soil lovers. Regen Ray here from Farming Secrets. We're just having a chat with Helen and Hugo today. We've been talking about Jerry's course. Helen and Hugo, how are you doing today?
Oh, really good, thanks, Ray. We're just quite excited to be able to talk about Jerry's course for the farmers' benefits or for the consumers' benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Helen, you've been talking about Jerry and his course and getting me to do something to activate and enhance his stories. Tell me why you're so excited about Jerry's course and why, I guess like now that I've been watching, I understand why, but share with us why, this amazing content that sits in my hands as a DVD form, now that we've digitalized it, why is it so cool?
Well, Jerry was one of the very early presenters that we filmed when we started to realise that there's so much information that just wasn't being available for farmers. We were querying why weren't farmers more aware of the soil, the whole farm, their animals, and we kept having people come to us with their problems. And Jerry Brunetti is a generalist. He's understands nutrition totally. He consulted on farms. He made products, and the whole approach of Jerry Brunetti is to look at the whole farm. And when he came to Australia, we were just blown away that he was here. He was actually down at Colac in Victoria, and yes, we could film him. So it was. We hired a proper videographer to film it and edit the course because we knew it was going to be an important cornerstone of anyone's farming to have access to Jerry. So you've seen it now without me going on raving about what we found that day. What's your what I know that you love it too. So what are a few highlights for you? And then we can sort of toss in our thoughts as well.
I love that. For me, I guess the energy is in the fact that unfortunately Jerry has sadly passed away now, and he's definitely missed in the community. And I just love the ability that I can still spend time with Jerry and learn from his wisdom. The fact that he's written a book, The Farm as an Ecosystem. One of the I guess from my point of view, and this is probably nothing new to you because you've been doing this for 20 plus years, trying to educate and move people away from chemicals and natural and more into natural farming. But seeing the farm as an ecosystem and joining all the dots together and holistically seeing that, everyone's now starting to realise that. And I just get blown away that there were people who were advocates of this probably too early, or were having to deal with the forces of the big chemical companies and the way that people just naturally went to a shop to get advice, and with no better understanding. There was no connectivity of the internet for people to research themselves, and I just admire the fact that physical books were printed, DVDs were printed and put into a kit where people could buy this at a show or get it sent in the mail and then sit down and watch it on DVD. And I just feel really privileged, I guess, to now be able to watch all that online. And so just seeing the connectivity of, one of his workshops was, food as medicine, and the number of people who are now seeing the connection between food and healing and the ground and our gut biome and our mental health. I just feel that this is information that once you understand how the farm ecosystem works, there's so much correlation in our food nutrition and then what we're putting in our mouth to then consume and nourish our body and our soul and our planet. So that's, even though some of the information is more geared towards farmers and understanding how the farm system works, from someone who's not on a farm, the information is just, to me, common sense that should be taught to everyone. At school levels, really, And so I want to kind of pick your brain because unfortunately I don't have the ability to be in a room with Jerry. Hugo, what was it like being in the room physically with Jerry? I believe he's got a bit of a quirky, funny side of him as well.
Yes, it did crack quite a few jokes. Not too sure we recorded them, but it's very clear that it's the buyer, the consumer, the person on the street that is pushing or influencing farmers, because there's just a shortage of this high quality food. And we even see that the supermarkets now, you walk straight into their fruit and vegetables section, and when they're publicising their paperwork or their journals, what you can eat, they're emphasising whole food. So the whole thing, but the whole thing is, a lot of it's consumer driven. But the main thing, the way I see it with Jerry's DVDs, is he shows so much information that there's things that the farmers can take on, the consumers can learn about, and they can do it in bits and pieces rather than changing completely. The idea is to change completely. As Jerry makes it very clear, the ecology, everything is linked, and we can't, and as said by farmers in a group, we've got to practice farming so we do no harm. And this is just a perfect way that it's sort of entertaining too, to watch these DVDs or watch it on digital and learn things and take steps to what Jerry has done or shown on his on the digital version.
Yeah, well, I can assure everyone that the jokes are still in there most of the time. I don't know what's been cut out, but there is always a funny story, or there's a nice little quirky references, and it's definitely a treat to watch. And really, really happy to be able to watch this, I guess, as pretending I'm in the room, but I know that would never match actually being in the room. Helen, what was your experience seeing the participants in the room interacting with the content and Jerry?
Well, there was just such a buzz. Like, it was the energy, you could just feel it, and at the breaks, people were all staying together and talking, and it was, really exciting for people to be with Jerry in the room with what he was talking about. He also had people wanting to talk to him about the health and things in the breaks, and he was doing a few consults at lunchtime. His energy is full on. His presence is, I think it still comes through the DVDs, the filming, his presence, his energy. Yeah. And he started saying, well, I'm not an expert in any particular field. I'm what you call a generalist, which is really rang a bell for us. So he covered everything. Like, he just loved life. He knew about food. He knows about the minerals for the animals, for your own body. And they are shared, I think, at the slides at the end, all the different minerals and why you would want this total approach for your own diet and for your animal's diet. And it's afterwards, people were literally saying every single person should see this. It should be essential viewing for Parliament, people in Parliament and things like that. That was the level it got to, with this urgency for people to see it. So I've been on it, Ray, because I knew we had that filming there. I just wanted to get it out, because we used to sell it as a kit, with the, we've got it behind us here, with the, and I know this is now digitalised as into the course with a follow through with the slides, and you can write your own summary. But what Jerry brought forth too was that not that far back in the past, there were field days at a place called Malabar Farm, which was working as a organic farm. We call it organic. They had I think it was 10,000 people who go to these open days on the farm. It was just so spectacular to see a working farm that works so well without the industrial side of it. And then that all stopped slowly as, I guess it's
lobbyists,
whatever, was made it more commonplace to have this industrial approach. Jerry knew, and he knows all the old writers and things like that, like Lady Balfour, all those people he brought in that have sort of been squashed. So it was exciting to know that none of this is new. You know, it's there, and it's all so logical and it makes sense. So for us, being in that room and people getting the aha was fabulous. Really, just we were on a high when we came home too.
I can understand why. I love, when in one of the lessons he starts talking about just observing the animals and sitting back and watching what the field is trying to tell us. And I think as human beings, we've become so fast and we're using technology to be our measuring devices and our feedback loops. But, if we just slow down and simplify it, and with the movements of minimalistic and slow living, slow eating, I love the fact that, this was being spoken about for so long, and, farmers just learning the literacy of their land and being able to sit there and look at the landscape and see what the animals are saying. I love the simplicity of that, but the powerfulness that comes through it, because animals have this instinct, this natural ability to know what's right or wrong or where the grass is better. And if we observe that, we can then understand what the animals are trying to have more of or what the soil needs more of, and understanding that there are no weeds. They're just like repair plants with signals telling us what that soil is missing. And nature has this ability to heal herself without the intervention of humans. So taking that step back and being an observer, I think is an awesome skill, I guess, that we all kind of need to be reconnected with, not just farm owners and land stewardships, but us as custodians of the planet, like just seeing our own natural ecosystem. If you're going for a walk, understanding what that ecosystem is trying to tell us. And I think our First Nations had this skill, and again, also we've lost that art of knowing what the kookaburra sounds like, or the water's flowing faster, so there must be rain coming. We've lost all those signals. And so Jerry reminded me to just slow down and observe natural patterns more, which was really refreshing to see. And for someone who lives in the city, a skill that I can apply in my local area as well.
Yeah, and he did love his food too, I have to say, and he was of Italian heritage, like you, and he'd go back to Italy, and so there was that real, I guess it does come a bit with your culture, right? Food is a natural, and it certainly was for him. And when he talked about food and health, when we were in the room, we had an extra evening session on human health. And I can still remember sitting there, and he said, put your hand up if you've had cancer. Probably a tenth of the room.
No, just a... No, he said... No, this is... Yeah. Oh, sorry, Helen, keep talking.
No, go on.
He said, who had cancer? Then he said, who knows anyone who had cancer? And the whole room put up their hand.
Yeah, he went through about 4 stages, but to say, and his message was, we all are being affected by diseases and it's not natural. And so he addressed that, and to me that was extremely powerful too, and very sobering actually, to see the connection that we've lost with the food we eat is actually who we are. So it was and he was meant to have an hour talk. I think we went for 2.5, 3 hours or something. No one wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Ray, I'd like to butt in. You said a key word that really resonates with him. It's healing, because we can take that to any length, but there's so much healing to be done in the community with the rampant diseases or the non-contagious diseases that are going on, the so-called epidemic that's going on. There's so much healing that has to be done, and Jerry Brunetti's course is a fantastic start, and it's a start and a finish really to get to start doing it, and then get right to the point that your farm is really buzzing and it's actually adding to the ecology in every possible way. So I thank you for bringing up the word healing, because it's got to be taken very seriously.
Yep, I agree. And it is definitely a word that I'm starting to use a lot more in my vocabulary, because I can see that this is all a compounding affect from the way that we treat soil to the way that the plant is with its resilience and the diversity of bugs and animals that come onto a farm. They're all signals of a healthy ecosystem. And that's the type of food that we want to be nourishing ourselves with. And so the more I'm learning, it's hard to unlearn it. And the deeper I'm going into this world, the more excited I get with the possibilities of what is available to us and the simplicity. I don't want to dismiss it as being common sense, because by no fault to anyone, this is information has been taken away from our education system. We're given a food table and expected that someone's done the research and that's what is. And no one's questioning where that food's coming from, who's the farmer, how was it grown, and I love the fact that, Helen, you shared about farms having tens of thousands of people go and visit, because that's been lost because everyone's a bit too scared to show people the truth of what's happening on farms. And so when a farmer or a grower opens up their garden, my grandparents have, an abundance of food growing, and anyone can come through and have a look at it because there's nothing to hide. And when farmers do the same, and what Hugo was saying as well, is that it's the start. And then it's the next step, and then it's the next step. You can't go from zero to hero overnight. You just got to start being curious, start questioning what you want to work on tomorrow, and then next week and the month later, set some goals and really holistically go through this process. You can't turn the tap on and off. And for me, that's been the journey over the last 3 years working with the Farming Secrets team and community, and the content is just having those penny drop aha moments by being around the content. And that's what I'm trying to share with others more so every day, saying, like, come into the community, buy a course, do one thing, watch a YouTube video, watch some of the stuff that we create, and just have that aha moment, and then grab that one little gold nugget and keep digging deeper on one thing for 12 months, and then do the next thing. Regen, we see it in the communities on Facebook, our own Facebook groups, that no one wants it to be a thing. It's a journey. It's a lifestyle. It's continual learning. And that's what I really love, because that's what, I'm a bit of a generalist. Maybe that's why I really enjoyed hearing Jerry, and I'm Italian and I enjoy his stories and his references to the Italian culture and so forth. And I just really have resonated with the way that he shares the message, and it's near and dear for me, and I want to just amplify that. And so while, Helen, you've been encouraging me to promote this course for well over 12 months.
Pestering, I'd call it.
Yeah, I didn't want to use a negative word, but it was definitely pestering. I'm kind of glad that we've gotten to this point now where we can really open up this course to be accessible by everyone. And so heading over to the links that are around this video, or going to farmingsecrets.com and checking out the courses, I feel like it's an absolute honour to still be able to hang out with Jerry, given that he's, keeping his message going and his legacy, and be part of that is really, really amazing to have access to. And so I really encourage everyone to check it out at least, and just even watch the intro video. Even this video might plant some ideas that you can take with you, but spending the time with Jerry and going through that and seeing some of the testimonials of what people said. I remember reading one, I think it was from Brian. He said that he put one DVD on thinking that he'll just watch half an hour, and then hours later he was still watching the content. He just wanted to put the next DVD in and the next DVD in. And so now that that's digitalized, you can log in and basically watch the content as it unfolds week by week. So, and then the bonus content of the Food as Medicine, again, another great workshop that we get to attend without having to physically attend anymore. So really, really amazing stuff. Is there any final words that you want to leave people with before they go down this journey?
Yes.
Well, yes, Ray. It is an asset, and it's probably can be one of the most valuable educational tools for a farmer, and educational tool even for the consumer. So the consumer knows when he's talking to the farmer that what to look for.
Absolutely. I think the power in the people is the one thing that I'm focusing on at the moment. The consumers have, the eaters, the shoppers have the power to really influence what shops stock, what food, but we need to go in and ask. And that's, with me being more city side of things, I'm definitely playing that part of asking the shop owners, Do you have this product? Do you stock this? Is this certified? Is this organic? Asking those questions, because then the shop owner goes, wow, everyone's asking for this product. I need to explore this myself.
Yes, yeah. And we quite often say we don't go out very often anymore because of the food quality and we don't know what we're eating. We used to ask what oil they were using, and the waiter would have to go back and ask the kitchen, and quite often it was cottonseed oil, which had come from GM crops. And cotton. So we didn't want to eat there. But one thing that did come up while you were speaking, Ray, about Jerry, was he was very aware of biodiversity on the farm. And I can still remember him talking about the hedgerows on the farms and how that harboured the little birds and the insects, all these sort of things. And, we look at most farms these days, they're very devoid of vegetation, like, originally hedgerows with the fences. And how natural that is to harbour all your little range of animals who would then
keep the pests in control.
Pests and control, add to nutrition and things like that on the farm. And he was very aware of that. And I think that's, it was just something that really struck out that, yes, my little picture books as a child had hedges along all the fields and all that sort of stuff. Just now coming back and becoming quite popular is syntropic farming, food forests and things like that, because people have realised how much we've lost through thinking we're getting more grass in our farms by removing all that vegetation, and what a natural thing it is to just provide that. And Charlie Massey in his book talking about the reed warbler that he saw in this little bush that had been left. That's the joy of really getting into this whole farming system. So I think Jerry really brings that forward, and people do love just who he is, his personality. So it's a joy to listen to him,
Absolutely. Well, I think we'll leave it at that. I think that's been amazing content. As I always say, Mother Nature always wins, and we either work against or with. And I think the world of us working with Mother Nature is so much more beautiful and healing and simple. And we really need to get out of the way and let Mother Nature do the heavy lifting, which is designed to happen. And so many life forms have seen this planet, and nature is still here, even though the species have changed many times. So, that's a true testament to the power of nature, and we need to work with that force and not against it. And so, I'm very, so an amazing program. If everyone's interested, there will be links around this video, or reach out to us at farmingsecrets.com, depending on where you're watching this video, and, hang out with these amazing mentors that have come before us and had the vision that this is where the planet was going to end up, and that their content is just more valuable now than it's ever been.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Helen and Hugo, for sharing your intakes of hanging out physically with Jerry. I'm envious, but very inspired to still be able to have this content captured by Farming Secrets many years ago and keeping that legacy alive. So thank you very much for the efforts and the works that you've done over the years to capture all this content at all lengths and put it somewhere on the internet or on DVDs. So that's been really awesome to see as well. So
thanks, Ray.
No, it's fantastic to be able to contribute.
Excellent.
And I just got to say it's a huge loss. It was a huge loss when we knew Jerry was no longer with us, but this is a way of having him be present and continue with his legacy, which is huge.
Absolutely. Awesome. On that note, everyone who's been watching, keep digging deeper into your soils, and together let's heal the planet.